This is Rogue Wing, Coraline, or Helen R.D. over at Starship Modeler. Welcome to the workshop. Okay, back at work on the Odysseus. Before I show where I've gotten so far on the other things, a couple of things I picked up to make life a little easier on me. First thing I picked up was 60 centimeters of the Easy LED tape from Paragraphics. It's got 3 LEDs every 2 inches. Already pre-hooked up in pre-resisted. Can be cut to length as needed. I also picked up some Easy LED connectors from Paragraphics as well, mostly to save the model from my meager soldering skills. I know that Model Man Tom sells a double density version of this stuff, but I'm thinking at this scale, that many LEDs crammed into a tight space would be overkill as far as trying to light the inside of the model, anything resembling realistically. I'm probably going to pick up another pack of this and probably some blue for the warp engines. Still thinking about it. And more drilling progress. I've got 1/2 of the secondary hull done. At this point, I've got to do the other half of the secondary hull, and then I can seriously start looking into doing the major surgery on some of the other parts of the kit. It's going to be fun. Someday we'll have to talk about my definition of fun, I think, but it's going to be a good project when I get her done. And good evening. At this point, I am happy to say, with the drilling out of the windows in the port side of the secondary hull, I am now through drilling windows. Thank God. Now, I do still have some minor surgery to do, removing the details here and here on both of the hull halves, removing those details so that the etch can do the job instead. Obviously I still have to put the etch on, but that'll wait for a further step. I've also lined out the first real major surgery this kit's going to require, namely carving out the bay for the Aeroshuttle. What I've done here, first I lined out where the center would be on the fuselage and on the wings based off the indent that was provided in the kit. Then using a fine tip Sharpie, I basically, just held the Aeroshuttle in place and drew around it. What my plan is to go in, drill this out, and keep testing it until this fits in the opening fairly flushly, and then from there I'll cast the Aeroshuttle bay over it. That'll be the actual technique I'm going to use for that will be in a future update. But for now, this is ready to go. As you can see, based off my lines and the indent in the hull, the aftermarket Aeroshuttle is actually slightly larger than the layout on the bottom of the ship was. But This was actually made based off the orthos that were released later of the Aeroshuttle itself. So we won't call any inaccuracies on that. But at this point, I'm just glad to be through drilling out windows. Greetings. Back at the workbench with a little update. I've gone through and using a grinding cutter in my Dremel at much higher speeds than I would normally recommend. I've gotten the hole for the Aeroshuttle bay roughed out. I'll go in at a much lower speed with the same grinding bit and trim this back to match up to these lines and periodically test for fit. Right now we're pretty close. It's still got a ways to go, but we're getting there. Okay, decided, mostly because I'm sure some of you are curious how I'm actually doing this, to go ahead and share some of the fine-tuning work on the bay for the Aeroshuttle on the Odysseus. What I've got is the it's actually a sanding cone into my Dremel. Dremel's set for as slow as it'll go, and from there it's basically work as close to the line as I can. I'm still trying to stay on this side of the on the inside of the line. Mostly to buy me the time and the space in case I screw up. And yeah, I realize I'm having more meltage than I am actual grindage, but once I get the hole sized up right, as you can see, we're getting real close, especially since this will actually come in from underneath. We're getting really close. I will have to adjust. You can see the raised detail of the wing there from the kit detail. I'll have to remove that because the rest of it's not lining up on that old detail. It's going to be an interesting process cleaning out the hole too, but you know, once we get the hole done, I'll be able to work on casting the bay into the hole. Stay tuned. And back at it. After a lot of grinding and a lot of test fitting and pressing, and there we have it. That is the Federation Models Aeroshuttle in the hole for the hull. It's not a perfect fit, but it gets the job done, and I'll be able to go in. What I'll do is I'll tape it in place, and then I will create a mold for the bay. Progress is coming.